All right, welcome to the Monday memory team meeting. We'll jump right into it. So it is, this Friday was in the milestone. Let's take a look at the issues on the board, see if anything needs to carry over. From 13.2, I'm assuming this doc one needs to carry over. Camille?
Yes.
And then feature flags, so the type ops and license, are those gonna finish in the next 2 days?
I'm gonna finish probably one of them. It's gonna be licensed.
Okay.
So, but I don't think that I'm gonna finish ops.
All right, just move it over. Then there's a follow-up documentation grant for adjusting memory requirements.
Oh yeah. I have to admit, I forgot about this. Yeah, let me review that. I think what I said last there is still correct. So I think we're kind of splitting hairs over the correct terminology to use about 500 or 1,000 should it be up to, which I'm easy with either way. So yeah, leave it with me. I'll get that progressed.
Okay, Josh, do you have any opinions here on the wording? We were just bike shedding over whether to use this terminology or
yeah, it's just the numbers beforehand.
just
yeah,
to be consistent.
I think up to makes more sense, but
yeah, that's fine with me as well. The before with tables, we just use the numbers in the tables itself, but actually in the docs we do say up to. So I'm happy with that to be the situation there. So I'll ping Axel and hopefully get it progressed this week before the milestone.
Thanks, Grant.
It's just a docs fix, so while it's in the milestone, it's not. We don't need to release it or anything. So.
Yep.
I say.
What did we need to do with this one? I've forgotten. It's assigned to Josh at the moment.
oh.
If I remember correctly, we do have the ability to do this already, right? It's just not well documented. Yeah, using environment variables.
Yeah, which is not ideal because we don't. It should be easily configurable, right?
Yep.
So I moved it to Omnibus, and it basically just needs to be scheduled. So that's where we're at there. There is a, yeah. So I probably should be pulled out of 13.2 and switched to distribution.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And this last one, Camille, document usage and workflow of bin feature flag.
No, it's like I created this issue pretty late, so I didn't manage to finish that yet.
Okay. Cool. Looks like we're in a good spot for 13.2 now. So I don't know if anybody was following along. So with the import export handover, I couldn't transfer it for some reason. It just kept failing silently and doing nothing. So I submitted an issue to track down what was going on there. And in the meantime, George did an export and import. So they have the pipelines running on their side. What do we want to do with our project? We want to archive it, delete it, leave it for now?
Yeah, maybe I would. It would be nice to keep the history. Can we just
Mhm.
archive it so that it, that it's not in plain sight? But if there's anything we ever want to go back and reference, we still have the ability to look at it. That would be good.
Okay.
Thank you, Craig, for doing that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I never meant to leave this on your plate. It sounded much easier when we picked this up and it ended up being.
I don't know if anybody read the description, but I would follow the instructions, hit transfer, and it would do nothing. The screen would just sit there. I wouldn't get an error or anything. So I'm not sure what happened there. We'll see if we get any traction on the bug. But that was a weird one. So I will, I'll archive that later on. All right, on to updates. So Matthias, you're probably closest to telemetry. Looks like Josh has a question as well. So we got dashboards going.
Right, yes. Thanks, by the way. Super useful, the stuff you did. I really love it.
Yeah.
This is great. I mean, because for us, that's all we were looking for, to just like test what we have, you know. So this is great because now we don't even have to wait for like data team to build, you know, like all the stuff on top of it. So I think for now that's just good enough. And yeah, so we just started to look at the submissions and some odd stuff in there, but I think mostly it makes sense. And it kind of, yeah, mostly it's actually as expected, I guess. It's also nice to see that the first 3 buckets or so, the biggest ones in terms of like hardware specs, seem to fall pretty clearly into like our reference architecture. So it looks so far that people are following it, which is nice. So yeah, there's a couple like weird submissions with like an insane number of CPUs. And while that's like physically possible, it's probably the more likely answer is that we're overcounting somewhere. So I send a couple MRs to make sure that can't happen anymore. So at least, so we don't know if that's happening, because for this to know, we would have to basically get a label dump of everything they report into Prometheus, which is not an option. So let's just ship that and next month see if we still get weird submissions. If we do, then maybe they are running that's like, what's it called, Thunder X3 or something with 96 cores. Who knows? Yeah, so that's all the MRs. One I added that is not related to a bug necessarily, but one thing that's still a bit lacking is our coverage of GitLab services. And what I think would just be good to know is like how lacking is it? Because currently, unless something is explicitly on the service allow list that we have, we just skip it entirely for like privacy reasons, because we don't accidentally want to include data that is not even GitLab related. But so I created MR though to at least track these as failures so that we know, oh, here's a job that we encountered, which we were not able to map to one of these allowed services that we do track. So I think that might be a sweet spot, because then at least we know it's happening and we would know what the job names are, which is very technical config. There's no PII in there or anything. But we would still not track the actual data of these either. So I think that should be like a good middle ground to go about this. Yep. I know Jinyu worked on like some cleanup stuff. Like the old web server breakdown was broken. We can just remove this now. The new data is still empty. Like these charts are still empty because I got the timelines all mixed up. Because we will only be shipping this with 13.2, the fixed version. So that's why there's no data yet. We'll have to be patient. So it's a very slow feedback loop, unfortunately.
How often does the data come in?
So I'm not totally on top of this issue so there was some problem with automatically ingesting this. And so we talked to someone from data team and they said the telemetry team, they are looking into a problem with the data pipeline. So until that is resolved, the data team was manually updating the data for this test dashboard once a week. So that was slow, at least for a while. I'm not totally, I think I'm subscribed to this issue, but I haven't got any updates. So it might still be an issue. But on top of this, also the problem is just like upgrade delay, right? So for all these new features that we will ship and fixes that we will ship with 13.2, we need customers to upgrade to 13.2, right? So
right.
Yeah, we might get a mixture of like good and bad data for a while. But yeah, over the coming months, it should get more interesting.
Okay. And Josh, you had a question there?
Yeah, now that we have the request rate coming through, we should be unlocked for finishing up the performance indicator, primary performance indicator, which is the kind of request rate divided by CPUs and memory. Unfortunately, I think the analyst and data engineer who typically would work on this is out of office until mid-August. Matthew, so the ask is seems to be can we self-serve? So I wanted to ask the question. Craig, you seem pretty handy. I don't want to sign you up without your knowledge, but anyways,
well, keep in mind
folks,
that we don't have that data yet, right? Because this will also be part of 13.2, so we will have to wait. I don't know how long it will take for the first data points to come in for request volume, but once we have this, yeah, I mean, it would be great if like, oh, Chinyo can, yeah, exactly. Chinyo, he opened access requests, so he can do the queries now as well. Exactly. If we can just, even if it's just we can just slap like another table or kind of like a nice smaller graph in there for now. That might just be good for now to verify it. It will not be maybe the final MSM dashboard that we're looking for, but at least we will have some data.
Yeah, and that's great. And I agree. It won't be probably until like the end of this week or early next week that we'll have the first weekly usage ping. I thought it comes out on Sundays, but maybe not. I don't really remember.
I think you're right. But I think, yeah, so exactly. So I forgot to mention this, the usage ping itself only runs once a week as well. Exactly. So, and I think, yeah, it's on a Sunday or some weekend.
Yeah.
So I think they actually ended up, it's like, I don't know what the day, but it's like it uses a jitter approach, so that we don't have this thundering herd of requests. I don't know how it's spread out exactly, but it will try to add some randomness to the submissions.
So we don't DLS ourselves on Sunday every day.
Exactly.
Makes sense. But yeah, cool. So I think if you also want to reply there, and then we can maybe set like a due date so I don't forget about it, like, you know, next week, and we can just check in and see what data looks like if it's even there. That would be great. I'll set up data. I'll set one now just so you don't forget about it. But that sounds good. It might require some DBT work. I don't know, to get the new fields over into the proper tables. But you all seem to be able to do queries just fine on the kind of raw usage ping data, which I wasn't sure was possible. So maybe we don't need DBT work. I don't know.
Yeah, let me read through the issue and figure out what the details of the request are, and maybe I'll have a better idea of what we can and cannot do later this week.
Do you actually think it would, I don't know if this is against company policy, but I was wondering if we could have a team account even for SciSense, because I think my understanding was the main reason why it's kind of tricky to get access to this, to create dashboards, is purely for cost reasons, almost for cost reasons, because it's like per seat licenses or something. So that's why we have to go through an access request. I'm wondering, do you think it would be possible at all to just have a team account so that we could all do it? Because I would love to get access to this stuff as well. I can't even look at the queries as it stands.
I don't know. Certainly we could ask.
Yeah, I'll ask in Slack, or you can open up an issue. My guess is probably not, but it's worth a question. I think we're trying to get away from team accounts for multiple reasons, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. No.
I'll follow up. All right, on to image resizing.
Yeah, we had a sync meeting on Thursday with Matthias and Camille, and I think the idea we came to is that it's quite complex and overwhelming. Try to like instantly insert image proxy into this whole story. So we came with the idea to try quite small, quite simple POC, like using the tools which are already available in Go. So, and just writing simple CMD, like which we use as a like separate subprogram inside work proxy to make a resizing. So it's something, it may be better for us to start on the Go and workhorse development, since we're still kind of trying to learn the ropes of these tools. And we have a meeting today, and also Matthias pulled some awesome data on possible bandwidth savings, and they sound really promising if we do that. So yeah, I think our plan is to have a sync meeting with Camille and try to get our hands dirty and go as soon as possible. And maybe we will postpone a bit image proxy story. I mean, the particular tool itself. So yeah, that was my summary.
Okay.
Matthias, do you have something to add, just in case?
No, sounds good. Nothing bad. Thank you.
One thing I have to add here, I just like to comment on the issue, is that apparently we're already using an image proxy on GitLab.com. I wasn't aware of this, but apparently we're using Camo as an image proxy for security reasons. I linked in the issue. Yarv just let me know yesterday. I was asking about that we need like a network flow diagram so we understand like how all this stuff works with like Cloudflare and all the interactions. And to the point, it was like, well, we have something else in here too. Yeah, I linked it in the dynamic here.
Well,
That's really interesting. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone of us, I was certainly not aware of that.
So
No, I wasn't either.
it's probably going to be second or third image resizing type of the service that we are using.
Why have one when you can have three? Oh, wow.
So maybe like Alexei, it kind of boils down for us, like specifying in race anything generic and like proxying data from like external service, and it could be init proxy, it could be any other service that would provide you like image resizing. But like with this external service, there is like the tricky part, like with this particular one, that you would not be able to resize local files. It would be only, you would be only able to resize the files that you could access via object storage or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, look into that and move on for now. So, Nicola, you're mostly working on this.
Yeah, actually, I didn't work a lot on that because I was wrapping out those metrics transaction and some other issues. I updated the epic with the potential candidates for his investigation. So I plan to create other sub-items on this issue. There is only one existing issue currently. This is one related to those nodes controller, and that one is, I think, in maintainer review, currently waiting for maintainer to add comments, and it will be probably merged in following days. And I will start looking at those candidates and prepare issues for each of them, so we can start with some of them, and then we can probably expand that list because there are a lot of them. But I sorted those candidates by popularity, like how much they're used. So I guess if we could improve the performance there, it will have most benefit because they're mostly used. And yeah, regarding metric transaction, it's close. We cleared up some questions with Camille. We had a great discussion regarding some labels that were causing problems and approach. So I saw that Camille posted some extra comments, and I will address them, and I hope that we can close it very soon.
So then next one, roll out feature flags behind project blob control
Yeah, I
options.
posted this because I saw that Josh closed the issue I guess on Friday. Like this optimization is currently under the feature flag. So yeah, Josh, I think we should probably remove it from the release post because we didn't enable this feature flag yet because we wanted to test it like first on few projects to make sure that it works. So it will be probably like rolled out in 13.3. And also, this is a good question, like Grant posted later, we closed all those issues and we actually have the separate problem with source and rendered view. So this should be probably two different issues at all, but we could probably have one epic or some more general issue where we can keep track on changes, because yeah, in that one we have optimization for like rendered view, but there is, yeah, thanks Grant. Thanks Grant. So Grant, if you have a comment, please.
Yeah, it's a slightly different process of performance issues, and we're still learning as we go along. But the idea is that we need to confirm that the performance is improved, or if it's a feature flag, then we need to test it with the flag on, and then we tend to close the issue when the flag is removed and the fix is actually in the code proper. But when it comes to these things, we learn quickly that there is, some performance issues are pretty complicated, and they have, and they need to be tackled in various ways. So we made it so that you can close issues if you've done you made some progress, and then we can make a new issue for the next tier, that kind of thing. So that's what needs to happen here. Both source and rendered view, I attempted to try and create two issues and try and make it as clear as possible that even though it's the same page, there are two different parts of it, at least to start with, that are performing both badly and also both differently. So we do need to have two issues to keep tracking both, but I am more than flexible to how we do that. If we want to raise an epic and then issues for each one, or anything else, it obviously may not be with memory team, it might be with a different team. Again, that's fine, but we as quality performers need issues to keep tracking and keep an eye on those pages so that we know that they're still not performing up to the targets that we want ultimately.
Yeah, so I guess we should create a separate issue for rolling this feature flag
Yeah,
out,
you should,
like,
for sure, yeah.
and enabling it first by default and then later removing it.
Yes, that'd be fine.
I will do that, but after that, I guess this issue can go to different team or something. I think that we did everything we could to do those small optimizations.
That's fine. I'll handle the new issues. I think for rendered to probably be an issue because there's already been substantial progress down to with the flag on, at least around about 11 seconds from what was 22. So that's great. Thank you so much for the work. So we'll create a new issue for that, and for that one for source, I'll either reopen or create a new issue that makes it clear what it's about and have it assigned to the right team for the next whatever the next work would be.
It's already assigned to source code. I would just personally just reopen this one. It's got all the data and history there. But
Okay.
did you say you were gonna open a second one for rendered? Is that gonna go to S3? Are we already under the S2 threshold with the fixes that were made, or?
For rendered, we're still in S1.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah. The progress is amazing, but it was really, really bad beforehand. So S1 is over 9 seconds, and currently it's at 11. It used to be 22.
Oh, yikes. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, GitHub is really, really fast, actually. Has anyone tried that?
GitHub? For the same page, yeah.
Yeah, changelog.
Yeah, GitHub, they apply quite a few different limits in places.
Still loads, though.
It still loads. It does. It does. But hey, we know that we're not king of performance, not yet. But we're making some good progress. So
Yeah, but GitHub is not linking the pull requests and issues. They are
Yeah,
not creating the issue at all. So it's just a plain text.
yeah, more or less, because we link every possible like epic issue and other merge request and
Yeah,
check
every
its
merge request,
status.
every issue. Yeah.
It's like different usability levels. So we could make this performance, but we need to sacrifice this kind of usability part.
For source
Or
files,
cache it somehow.
going by our competitors' comparison site, which they actually update weekly, to my knowledge. Yeah, we're actually second now on that test. Still bad, but we're second. Like our performance score 20 according to Google's Lighthouse, but that's still second. GitHub's actually worse. So, but that's a different file. That's the Linux maintainers file, which is equally a pretty nasty file.
Yeah, I guess the changelog is edge case because changelog has a lot of labels, a lot of links to issues and pull requests where those hooks are created. So.
It is, yeah. Each file is also a little bit different, but I'd be intrigued to see GitHub fail on one, or is slower on one, but is faster on the other when they're both pretty heavy files. So I'll look into that a little bit.
Might just be the volume of all the lookups we have to do for the merge
Mm.
requests and the app mentions and things like that, right? To your
Yeah.
point.
I mean, that is one of the other stories about performance as well that people don't talk about is, or it's not the first discussion, is that, you know, the compare is source hut and they're liquid, they're lightning fast, but it's because they don't do much. They're very, very basic Git repo where they'll show you the file, but that's it. There's nothing else happening. And the pages are very
Yeah.
tiny. So that's the other part as well. Yeah, they'll show you the file fast, but all the other stuff that's happening just isn't happening. So that's their part of it as well. Like even like that page, it even says here it's on Source Hut, it's only 2 requests, whereas on ours it's 23, GitHub 31. So you know every other competitor is doing more. So it's always it's a bit of a game sometimes. But yeah, we're seeing some good improvements on these pages. Source, rendered was the right one to tackle first. Source we definitely want to see improve as well. Because we already have a limit for that page, and if the file's over a megabyte in size, it doesn't get showed. We might want to look at other limits such as commit history or other stuff like that. But for now, we'll get the issues reopened or raised, and we'll just continue progress with the source code team. Rendered will be taking the priority of the two, though, for sure, for now.
All right. We are at the end of the agenda. I'll go through and summarize follow-up items, but is there anything else we need to cover for today? All right, we'll take that as a no. Happy Monday. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.